All right. So go, I'll be quiet and you introduce yourself.
Hi, Michelle. This is Linda Mitchell from Luxury Destination Travel. Thank you for having me on today. And I am the owner of a luxury travel agency service. It's Luxury Destination Travel, and I specialize in destination wedding travel, groups travel. I also specialize mostly in honeymoons and romance trips, and then really travel for anyone that wants to get out and get around and see the world, be it right local in the United States or traveling anywhere globally. And so my passion is making amazing travel experiences for all of my clients.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you for being here. There's so many wonderful words in that little intro there: romantic travel, global. I think I'm just really itching to travel, as many people are at the time that we're recording this, which is, tail end of 2021. And people are out there traveling
They
again.
are, they are,
Super
yes.
exciting.
Yes, they are getting out and traveling, and that's so exciting because of the fact that the industry is starting to wake up again, right? So that's really, really, but there are just so many things to consider, so much more than we did, pre 2020. And it's important to not, it used to be that you could just have your suitcase packed and your passport there and off you go, but it's not like that anymore. There's a lot more to consider.
Yeah, it used to be the biggest worry is like, should I take more than one suitcase? I don't know. you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
now, I mean, especially at this point in time, literally, I have been preparing my suitcase because I am supposed to leave, fingers crossed, on Thursday for London.
Oh, fabulous.
Yes, I
Yes.
know. But with this new strain of annoying COVID, like literally within the last, 48 hours, restrictions
Mm-hmm.
have changed and are in the process of changing. So I'm having to, like, every day go online and
Mm-hmm.
look and see, will I have to quarantine when I get there? Do I take a test before? Do I take a test after? How do I get around? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so, as of today, it seems that I fly in, I don't have to take a test, but that, I'm vaccinated. And then at the end of my second day, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why this is, but the end of my second day, I have to go take a COVID test.
Most destinations, a lot of destinations do that. They do after maybe a second day, after a fourth day, because
Mhm.
mind you, you could take that test anywhere from 72 hours up to 24 hours, depending what's required. You can take that test and still basically, particularly if it's a 72-hour time frame, and still be negative.
Mhm.
But then you could contract it literally right after the test, right, and get to the
Right.
destination. And so they kind of do that 2 day thing. I mean, everybody's got their protocols in place, and it's so important for travelers to do exactly what you're doing. There's a huge responsibility factor, so much more than ever before in terms of traveling. And this is a responsibility that it's hard for a travel professional to say, look, at this is your responsibility to keep up on this. But it's something that we as travel professionals had to make sure that our clients are aware that they do have to take responsibility for this, the same way you do making sure that you have your passport and it's up to date and all of that.
Right.
This is government protocols. This doesn't have to do with travel and what your hotel is and everything else. And so making sure from the travel side of it, always making sure that I provide that information, that link, where they can go, where they need to go to fill out their paperwork and everything else. But due diligence and the fact that you have to stay and look at that link pretty much as you
every
have been
day.
doing, all the way up to when you travel, because
Yeah.
it can change. I mean, I was recently in Jamaica, and a couple of days before I left for Jamaica, the United States changed their protocol in that if you are vaccinated, you test 72 hours prior to coming back into the United States. However, if you're not vaccinated, you test at 24 hours prior. Well, luckily, a lot of the hotels understand this. And so when you check in, they make the arrangements for you, but it's also your responsibility to do so. And that changed very quickly. So to not know that and not have a hotel that's also taking responsibility for you, you can get messed up, in terms of trying to get everything together to go back home. So there's just a lot more responsibility, I think, across the board. I mean, it's been building in terms of travelers and the responsibilities that they have in terms of, documentation and everything else, and making sure that you keep yourself, safe and protected. And, any of those things, when people ask me, oh, is Bermuda a safe destination to go to? Well, yes, but there's really nowhere in the world that you could go and walk, say, like at night in the dark down a street.
Right. Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen, right? So there's that whole part of being responsible for yourself as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I want to make this an evergreen episode, meaning I don't want to tie it specifically to the times that we're living in, but I do think that going forward, it's always going to be now, things are just different now, period. No matter what industry you're in, and they're going to be this way. It's just kind of like a new norm. Like it used to be back in the day, and I'm decades ago, I would just tell my couples, well, make sure wherever you're going for your honeymoon, like you might need a special vaccine. Do you remember that? Those days, like you might need a special vaccine, just like that. I mean, now it's different.
And literally what I associated to is, look at what we were pre 9/11. Okay. Mm-hmm. Look at how we traveled then.
Yes.
Look at how things had to change because of what happened in the world. So we had to change the way we traveled. Now we're looking at, again, and now it's common. You go to the airport, and of course you're going to go, you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
So this is what's going to be the norm for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
This is what we are going to look at, getting used to that whole situation of, oh, yes, I have to go through the airport. I have to make sure that my luggage is a certain way. I'm going to have to take off my shoes or whatever if I don't have TSA pre-check. These new norms, and I agree with you in terms of not wanting to harp on it, but the point is that this is the new norm in terms of the protocols of travel, and it will be with us for a very, very long time, at least enough time that we need to just know that this is what it is to travel.
It is what it is, peeps.
Yeah.
Linda, why do you do what you do? Why are you in this? Did it happen by accident, or was it on purpose? Like, was this always been like your dream to be like a travel agent or someone who designs people's trips?
I was always interested in travel because I actually flew as a child by myself back in the 1960s, back and forth to visit my grandparents from Massachusetts to Virginia. My parents would, back then, they just put you on the plane, they walked me to the plane, and then my uncle would come on the plane and get me, and I'd go down and spend the summer with him. And so, as a very young girl, I was traveling by myself, on a plane that the ticket probably cost like $35 or something. And so there was that in me. And then I remember when I was going through college, I wanted to be a flight attendant, but at 5'2", I didn't have the criteria for then to be a travel. So I've always had the feeling of travel in me. And then after got married and pretty much raised my kids to the age where they didn't need me staying home anymore, I saw an ad on television for a travel school in Boston. And I thought, wow, I was always an entrepreneur at heart. I had a couple of businesses while my kids were growing up. And so I thought, that could be fun. That could be interesting. And so I did. I went to this, it was in Harvard Square, and I got myself out and went to the travel school. And then I went into corporate travel because at that time, I knew I wouldn't be able to travel all over and do experiences. And you need that to be a leisure travel professional. And so I went into corporate. I built, which was really good because I worked in the VIP level. And so it instilled in me what a top level VIP service is. And now all my clients are VIPs. And so then fast forward about, I think it was about 12 years, my daughter decided to get married in Bermuda. I got laid off from September 11th when all the layoffs came to the travel industry. Yeah. And I started planning her wedding, which was in 2002 in Bermuda, long before destination weddings were even on the lips of anyone. You know, mm-hmm. It just decided we'd seen a wedding that took place down there when we traveled together. And as a family, and she's like, I want to get married in Bermuda. So I started planning her wedding, 85 people in 2002.
That's a lot.
That's a lot for a destination wedding. That's sort of your upper average right now. And so, so I started planning it, and the travel portion of it was just a nightmare, trying to figure out and budgets, and it was their friends from college, plus it was family, and how do you do that? And the planner down there, I asked her, and she was like, I don't know, just get a hotel, give them a hotel, whatever. And so I started planning it, and then I thought, maybe I could do a business out of this. And so I did. I had enough background and credentials to open my own agency and get my licenses and everything. And I took a hunch on something that I thought was going to grow. So probably the first 8 to 10 years of my business was focused primarily on destination wedding travel, with some of the other being vacations and what have you, because it was when the destination weddings were really growing. Mm-hmm. And there was so much going on that was literally all I needed to focus on.
That is awesome.
But I do it just because I love it. I love the excitement of travel. I love the excitement of sending people on vacations. I am literally sitting here while someone's away thinking about their vacation. If I'm lucky enough that it's a close client or a friend or a family member, literally texting them. What are you doing?
I was going to say, do they send you photos?
They do. They send me photos. They let me know where they're going. They text me after they've gone to dinner if it's a special recommendation. I mean, it's so fun because I feel like in a way I'm traveling with them. You know, sometimes I stalk them, which is fun.
You're like looking at their Instagram stories and
Oh, 100%. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're doing this now or whatever, you know? So I just love it. It's just such a strong passion of mine. And you know, I developed this business on my own as a woman, really I was probably just not 50 years old yet when I started my business. Wow. And, you know, it's pride for me, you know, it's a sense of freedom for me, but just knowing that I could just develop such a successful business and bring so much joy to so many. So that's what I do.
So people hire you to help them plan a trip from, you know, maybe choosing what are the best dates to go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was telling you when we did our onboarding call, you know, this trip to London, that at that time, my husband and I were like all over looking for the best flights and what time should we get there? What about this layover? This layover doesn't seem long enough. What if the first flight is delayed, you know, and then we're sweating bullets running through DFW trying to get to our connection. And I thought to myself, damn it. Like it takes hours for people, laymen like me, to, you know, to choose and go on the different websites. Should I go on Kayak? Should I go on Orbit? Should I go directly to the website of the airline? But you have the magic, you know, the inside knowledge. So from start to finish, explain to us, what it is that you do specifically for your clients.
So the thing with the travel agents, the only way you traveled years ago was through a travel agent, right? We didn't have media. We didn't have, you didn't book airlines online. You did it through the airline reservation system, which is what I have on my computer. And so, there's that level of expertise that I like to explain it in a way that there are so many things that you hire a professional to do. Okay, you hire a professional lawyer, maybe you have your house cleaned professionally, you take your clothes maybe to the dry cleaners, maybe you have a dog walker. I mean, there are
a wedding planner.
There are so many services that you outreach to people who have the expertise to do it because your time is valuable. And I know there was a study done a few years ago with just what you just said, someone taking the time to go through and all the time it's spent and your time, the value of your time. But not only that, but what it showed was that those people that did that didn't come out with that vacation being any less than what a travel professional would be able to get for you. And most of the times it's more, and it's not necessarily better. And so what ends up happening is you look at the value of your time and the expertise. And so pretty much when someone comes to me and they want a vacation, they either come knowing exactly what they want and where they want to go. And sometimes it's not really what they want and where they want to go. And that's up to me to also determine. But it's pretty much just getting all of the criteria from them. I ask several questions when someone comes to me. And basically, my services are a paid service for the arrangements that I make for someone. And you're paying someone for their expertise. You're paying for the relationships that they've built when you work with a travel agent. You're paying for the knowledge that we have spent years and years and travel and webinars and everything else to learn about the destinations, about the hotels, about the restaurants, and all of that. And so pretty much it's what I go all the way back to travel school, the word they used, and it's qualifying. You want to qualify your client to find out exactly what it is they want. Is your client a luxury hotel person, or is your client, I just need a bed and a bathroom and we're out of there, And like you said, the flights, one of the most important things that I say to my clients when I'm talking to them and when I'm qualifying them is think about what it is that you want, what it is that you want to do, what your, I hate to use the word budget, what your price point is, what's your high end, what's your low end.
We use the word budget all the time on this podcast.
Yeah.
We're talking weddings.
But I like to just say price point. I like to put it that way. It's a nicer way of talking about it, and it gets people thinking. Because when you see budget, they're all of a sudden they're like, I don't know what my budget is.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, what's your, and then it's pretty much as we go along. I ask them at some point when the decision process is happening. And this goes back to my daughter's wedding when we were talking about what we were doing down there. It's think about now. And you're thinking about now and you're saying, oh, I don't want that ocean view room because it's another $30 and $30 times 7 nights, blah, 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 blah. But then think about when you get down there. Are you really going to say, oh, I'm glad I saved this money and I have this room overlooking the street or the gardens? Or are you going to be like, damn, I'm glad that I made that decision back then and projected myself forward into the situation and made a better decision for the experience that I'm going to have? And that's really, really important, because I'm sure everybody has gotten somewhere at one point and been like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The same thing with the flights. A lot of times people will choose the crazy connections through this city and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, it's just like in the winter. In the winter, if you're flying anywhere and it's a flight that has a connection and maybe it connects through Chicago, it might be cheaper and people will take it. But it's like, wait a minute, if you connect through the Chicago and it could end up storming and then you end up mixing your connection and then and it's like, look at the value of the nonstop versus the connection. And it's a matter of asking people to open their eyes and to just see things that they wouldn't normally see if they're just looking into the computer and trying to find everything, right?
That's true. I've been on one of those trips during the winter, gotten stuck on the tarmac for literally 6 hours because of a snowstorm.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just not fun. So I look at it as the fact that in every walk of life, there are people who have become experts for whatever area it is, for whatever reason. And that's how we know how to do things, right? That's how we go about our everyday lives, as the experts that provide that information for us, be it a service, be it on television or whatever. And travel agents are no different, but for some reason, I don't know, I think it's because we were a dying breed for so long and we just fought through, and now we're coming back, and now people are realizing, wait a minute, there's someone that will do all this for me. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're saving people money, time, headache, fatigue. Well, good. And then, just aside from that, you've been to so many places all over the world and you've sent so many people to so many places. I'm sure you have a huge list of like attractions, restaurants, good hotels, the right area to stay in. Because that's the other thing. You get a flight there and you're like, okay, now where should I stay? Should I stay close to the airport? Should I stay close to a train? Should I stay, over here in this area? Well, what the hell is this? Is it even safe? Like there's so much. And I think that, for those listening, they're falling into probably two camps here. There's those listening that are ready to start planning a honeymoon. And there's probably some listening that are, thinking about a destination wedding. And so I want to make sure that we really use you, Linda, this hour. I'm going to use 100%. You.
That's why I'm here.
and dig, pick your brain rather, and get some really good information for the listener. And I had talked to some of our listeners who are, planning their weddings. And I think a big kind of pain points, I want to say, or maybe just like I have no idea, is honeymoon. For example, one of our listeners, Mallory, who we were talking to on Zoom the other day, is like, look, I haven't really been on a major vacation in my life. You know what I mean? For you, someone who travels all the time, you're kind of like, huh? But there's a lot of people out there.
There's a lot of people who have not traveled, and there's a lot of people who have not left the United States.
Yes, because, it wasn't in them growing up. Maybe their family didn't travel. It's not something they really thought about. They're not, some people just aren't like, I got to travel. I'm a world traveler. Some people are just like homebodies.
Yeah.
And so she's like, okay, I don't go on vacations. And she said, we're going to get married. We want to go on a vacation. We want to have a honeymoon and we want to do it right away. We don't want to wait because we want to have children, as soon as possible. And we both work. And so, but the thing is, she's like, I don't even know if I should like fly to a different country. Should I go on a cruise? Like if this was like my one big vacation of my life, how do I even approach that? Like, where do I start? What do I do? How do I do this? I don't know. What would you say to Mallory?
Well, first of all, honeymoons are a very emotional driven trip, right? So, it's you're planning it during a time that you're planning everything else that's a major milestone in your life. So you've
Yeah.
got that is number one. You've got that's there. And then along with that, you've got, okay, do we do it right away or don't we? And then you've got, okay, well, how much do we want to spend and how do we handle that? And that's another whole thing, because then there's honeymoon registries that you can do.
Yeah.
So you kind of look at that. And then you look at, okay, if you are going to do it, boom, right from a day or so after the wedding, you're not going to look at, okay, we're going to go, hit the ground running in 10 different European cities for 2 weeks and go crazy, because there is an emotional and exhaustion letdown that you have to give into. And that you also have to consider the fact that, it's the two of you and you want to spend time together, and you don't want to be doing things that are going to cause tension, that's going to cause you to friction between you. This is your honeymoon. You want to enjoy it. And you don't necessarily want to be, okay, say like cruise, you brought up cruise, people do love to cruise, but if this is your first big major vacation, the last thing you want to do is get on a cruise ship with 5,000 other people and be herded around to dinner and everything else, unless you have the money for some of these very small exclusive cruise lines like the Ritz. You're not going to be doing that. So what I do is just sit down and ask them, what do you want to do together? What do you love to do? I had a couple, I'm working on their honeymoon now. They're going in June. They're going to be going to Italy, to Lake Como first. And then it's for 14 days. And then they're going to the south of France. And when we talked, it was, what is it that you want to do? They'd both gone to Europe and gone to these certain areas in both of these countries. But when we talked, it came out that, okay, she went backpacking and she had this experience, and he went this way, but then he had this experience. It was like, okay, now what do you want to experience together? And how do you want to do that? And what are the things that you love to do together? They love to drink wine. They are foodies. They like to do a little hiking, but not a lot of hiking. And so I went at them and put everything together and put as many activities together as I possibly could for them. And then said, now, like when you're packing and they say, take away this clothing and this clothing from the suitcase. Now let's take away. This is everything you can do. Now let's look at what you want to do. But let's leave the first couple of days so that you really get acclimated to your destination. Now, where to go? Again, where do you want to are you beach people? Do you want to just sit and relax and go on a beach and have it be romantic?
So that's one thing Mallory told me. She says that she lives across the street from the beach.
So that's not going to be special for her.
No.
100% that's not going to be special for her.
Yeah.
Why do that? She can do that every day of the week.
Right.
So for Mallory, it's what have you dreamed about doing? What do you think about? So what you have to do is really get into their brains.
Yes.
Get into their emotions and really pull them together. I like to talk to the couple together.
Yeah.
Because if I talk to them separately, she says something, he says something, and then I'm trying to put it together. And then they're bouncing it off each other when all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, maybe we will, or maybe we won't do this. And so it's like anything, Michelle. It's not about a cut and dry decision, right? It's about creating something, and that's what a travel professional does. Is it create an experience for you that is based on everything that you love to do and what gives you your comfort level. And that is going to create memories that will literally last a lifetime. I mean, I still hear people say, oh, my grandmother told me she honeymooned in Bermuda at the such and such hotel. The grandmother is still telling, the granddaughter, this is where we honeymoon, right? So those memories are what you're creating, and knowing as a travel professional that I'm not only responsible for their travel and making sure that it's all correct and making sure that their flights are right, and making sure they're at the best hotel in the best room, and everything that fits what they want to do. But I also have this emotional responsibility to them. And that responsibility is to make sure that I have them look at things that they didn't know they didn't know. Right.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't tell you how many times a couple has come to me with such, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And yet it wound up being, I had a groom that came to me literally in March, 5 days before the wedding. He contacts me and he wants to do a honeymoon. They weren't going to do a honeymoon. They were not going to do a honeymoon. They were going to save their money. And then all of a sudden he was like, you know what? It was so sweet. He's like, this woman is so special to me. He's like, I don't care what I have to pay. I want to take her away on a honeymoon. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so we ended up planning this honeymoon. He gave me what the criteria was, but it wound up being so much more. I wound up doing Golden Eye in Jamaica, which is this amazing hotel that's far, far away from all the traditional hotels in Bermuda. It's on the other side. And it's literally, all he said was, I want to be alone with her. And so it's literally this gorgeous hotel that has that privacy factor. I mean, that ultimate privacy factor. Was it something that he even came to me and explained to me? Absolutely not. It's for me to give it to him, based on what it is he's decided that he wants to do, so yeah.
Well, good. So Mallory might, I think, it's interesting. The cruise, I've never been on a cruise. Some people, there are people who love cruising. They go on, my aunt and my uncle, I think they've been on 10 different cruises, but they've also traveled. But I think that probably for Mallory, somebody who has not been on a vacation, doesn't know where to start. I can see how a cruise would be appealing because it's this all inclusive kind of just pay for it. And we're going to drop you off here and you're going to get out for this many hours and you're going to get back on. It's kind of almost like a no brainer, right? Like, okay, we're going to actually see some places, but I don't have to put that much, thought into it.
Right.
But I see your point too, because if you're not going to take a trip for another, 15, 20 years, go to Paris or go to some amazing city and just walk around, even just walking around and stopping in and seeing things.
And the culture to go somewhere where you're going to absorb a new culture, a new heritage, new experience that you haven't ever done before. I mean, a cruise, I agree with you. There are people that absolutely love cruising. They do it cruise after cruise after cruise. But if you've never done a cruise before, don't choose a time that is so emotionally and stress driven.
Yeah.
And then choose that cruise experience, because it's not going to be everything that you want it to be.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes on with a honeymoon and with planning a honeymoon. And that's why I associate planning the honeymoon with planning your wedding without a wedding planner. To me, it's somebody who goes on a vacation every year, or whatever, a family vacation, anything is still really important. But a honeymoon, there's just so much criteria that you shouldn't leave it to just trying to go on the internet and find what you want to find.
So then we were talking to Emily and Ryan, this adorable couple who have been listening to the podcast for a while, and we've enjoyed their journey of wedding planning. There's been some fun stories. But they're doing a 3-week, trip. They're going to end up in London, but they're going to, I think, Scotland first. And they're going to these different places and spending a week at 3 different destinations.
Perfect. Yeah.
And she's like, I just wonder if cause they're planning every single day of this 3-week trip. And she's like, I wonder if that might be a mistake. Should we plan every single day, or should we leave some days for downtime? They want to go hiking. He loves beer. They love pubs. For me, I'm like, oh God, no. I'm a wedding planner, but I go on vacations and I'm like, I like to have like a couple of things in mind, but then just kind of like chill, go out when I want, go out late, come back, whatever it is. But that's
Right.
me. But I know a lot of people go on trips and like do a major like itinerary.
Mhm.
What's your thought on that?
So first of all, it depends on the personality. There are some people that just, they are type A personality. They need to do everything there is to do. They need to do it all on this trip because they think I'm never coming back. And then they need to see everything and plan it all out and have it all planned out. Like I said, with my other couple, I threw everything at them and then said, let's back off from some of this stuff because particularly if you're traveling internationally, the last thing you want to do is that day one to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
You've got to give yourself time to acclimate to the destination. Pick those top things that you want to do and spread them out. Spread them out a little bit and don't have it go, you don't want to be doing a wine tasting all day, going out for a dinner, going to a pub and getting up the next morning at 6 a.m. to climb to the top of a mountain. I mean, you're setting yourself up for failure by doing that. And you're also setting yourself up again for, depending on what your situation is with your significant other, your spouse, this is still a new situation. How much maybe have you traveled together and now you're traveling together as a couple? There is going to be times in travel where you're gonna clash. And the last thing you want to do is put an exhaustion factor and expectation factor into it all. That's just gonna set you up for a bit of a failed experience. You just don't want to try and squeeze so much in that you don't have an opportunity to breathe. You don't have an opportunity to really experience the destination for what it is. And just do a walkabout, just enjoy it. Because here's the thing, unless it's something like doing Pearl Harbor on Oahu, or unless it's something like doing the summit on Maui and the sunrise, unless it's stuff like that has to be pre-booked, you also have an amazing concierge usually at your hotel. You can look at doing other stuff when you get there. It's not like you don't have to, and you can fill on other things. You don't have to have planned out tours specifically for every single day. So yeah, I highly recommend against making the days and the nights top heavy so that you don't have time to breathe and really enjoy each other and have some really special romantic, just one-on-one moments, just exploring the destination on your own.
Well, I mean, yeah. And, you got me thinking, and I was going to ask you about this because you travel a lot, and it's top of my mind is like jet lag. You're traveling to another country. There's 8+ hours, even 3 hours time difference can mess with you.
Even 1 hour when we change our clocks.
Total. Yeah, for sure. I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. Yeah. So do you have any tips, stuff you do or tell your clients to like hurdle or get through the jet lag as soon as possible? And B, how does that work with destination weddings?
So in terms of my tips, in terms of travel is, first of all, I never travel without no jet lag. In fact, a lot of times I'll even literally take it even if I'm not going across time zones because you're on the plane. So no jet lag.
Is this a pill or what is this?
Yeah. So it's a homeopathic pill. You stick it under your tongue and it's called No Jet Lag. And you take it, I think it's about an hour before you fly. And then you take it like every 4 hours or something. And you literally you stick it under your tongue and it's a little tiny tablet. And I learned about this 25 years ago. corporate office that I worked in, this woman's husband traveled around the world on his job. And she literally told me about it then, and I have used it ever since. It's called No Jet Lag. It's very inexpensive. You can get, there's a version you can get from Whole Foods, but it's all the same. It's not drugs, it's homeopathic, but it works.
It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon. Yeah.
I'm buying it literally right now.
And then the other thing is, when I'm going across time zones, I literally get on the plane and change my watch. People say, no, I try to stay on that. No, get into the mentality as soon as you can, change your watch and think, okay, this is the time zone that I am now in, and stay in that time zone. Of course, things like hydration, things like having comfort level things with you, okay? Having whatever gives you the most comfort level, then make sure you take it. Make room in your suitcase for your pillow. If that's a comfort thing for you, have it there with you. That's what's going to take you, and put you in the most comfortable sleep when you get into, what's the worst thing when you get into a hotel and they have crappy pillows.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That part there is important. Your suitcase, pack your suitcase so that you don't have to unpack the whole suitcase as soon as you get there. Have the most important stuff on the top, so that maybe the next morning you can unpack or whatever, but have that stuff on the top so that you're not digging through and, oh my God, now I have to unpack my whole suitcase. So that's pretty much important. What else is a good important thing? The no jet lag is the biggest one. And then when you get to your destination, make sure you stick to the time zone as much as you want to go to sleep. I mean, we just went in June to Hawaii for my son's wedding. And as soon as I got on the plane, I started taking the no jet lag. As soon as I got on the plane, I changed my watch. And as soon as we got there, I got into the mentality, because the next morning when we got there, when it was, oh my gosh, what was it? It was 8 o'clock in the morning. So it was like 2 o'clock in the morning here.
Yeah.
And literally we were out the door, my daughter and I, to go to an all-day shower for my daughter-in-law. And it was like, I had to be mentally prepared for
right.
that. If I went to bed early, or I got up in the morning, was like, oh my God, it's 2. My grandson kept saying, Nanny, it's 2 o'clock in the morning back home. It's this time back home. I'm like, stop. Every time you do that, you're mentally giving yourself jet lag.
So don't even think about what time it is.
Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. If you have to call home, then tough luck to them if it's the middle of the night, because that's when you are, you need to get yourself on the mindset of the time zone that you're in and get into it as quickly as possible. That's why on the plane, when you're coming this way, they serve you like dinner, and then like at, whatever time it is, like if you're taking a red eye, they're like turning the lights on, and it's like 1 o'clock body clock time. And they're like, okay, it's breakfast time. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
They don't have to wake you up and give you breakfast, but they're doing it because, or maybe they're not, but this like, is that, it's to get you acclimated to the fact that you are in that time zone. You are not back home in the other time zone.
Okay. These are good. I got my no jet lag.
It's the best.
I'm going to start in the airport here. Just start taking it.
Yeah, whatever it says on the package, I can't remember if it's an hour before or whatever.
I'll read the instructions.
And even if you take a little bit more, like it says every 4, I think I take it every 3 hours or whatever. But I have done both, and boy, oh boy, the time 2 times when I went to Hawaii, once I did it and once I didn't, and boy, oh boy, I just the second I was like, it really, really, really works. And when you go to bed at night, just do all the things that you need to do. Don't get to your destination and then, drink an espresso. Don't do anything that's going to overstimulate you so you can get to sleep. And don't lay down in bed and then be like, oh my God, let me see, I got to get up. And I've already gone like I'm into hour 25 right now. It's in here. A lot of jet lag is up here.
Yeah.
A lot.
I have this thing. I sleep with a heating pad.
Then
I've always slept with a heating pad. I take my heating pad everywhere. My mom sleeps with a heating pad. My sister, it's kind of a thing that we just do.
Wow. Yeah.
And when I have my heating pad, like, oh, I get my bed on that cozy one and I just fall asleep. So I'm taking my heating pad.
Yes.
In fact, you know what I'm thinking? It just occurred to me. I'm going to take it in my carry-on. If there's a plug on my seat, I should be able to plug it in and use it on the plane.
100%. Yes.
Oh my God. I don't know why I've never thought of this before.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's plugs on planes.
Yeah.
Most of the planes.
International flights, especially.
Planes.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're so cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm very excited about the snow jet lag thing, Linda.
Oh, it's incredible.
And I just kept reading water, drink a lot of water, which I do anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for most people, they stay well hydrated. So it's not a matter of, the downfall is, which is my downfall, is the basket that gets shoved in front of your face. That literally in that basket, all it has is high salt content snacks or sugar, right? That basket, they think they're doing you so good by, here's a basket of goodies.
These pretzels.
What is it? It's salt and sugar.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
So bring good snacks.
Bring good snacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are your top 5 favorite places for honeymoons and why?
Oh gosh. Wow. Well, let's assume that we're talking about someone that's traveling from the United States. Now my mentality right now is to guide couples to stay within the United States. There's so much to experience here. It's a little daunting to leave the country right now, particularly if you're not vaccinated, but even if you are, having to test back into the United States, just kind of go off a little bit, having to test back into the United States, it's a challenge. If you're at the end of your honeymoon, you got to get right back to work. You need to consider the fact that you're going to be out of the country for that long. And if you test positive, you're going to have a problem coming back in. So I like to recommend to couples to also consider the United States, because there are so many great places to go in the United States. I mean, if it's someone that lives in the Midwest and has never necessarily been to cities, go and explore New York City, do an amazing New York City adventure, like so much to do and see and explore. The Florida Keys has become a real favorite of mine. I did this past February. We typically go down to Grand Cayman for our family vacation and weren't able to go this past February. And so we did the Florida Keys. There are some amazing hotels on the Florida Keys. There's one hotel that's an all-inclusive, adults only, luxury property, small luxury property. It's called the Bungalows. So beautiful, such a great experience. I mean, romantic beyond romantic. And from there, you can explore the Keys. You can get in a car and drive. You can go down to Key West and watch every night in Key West, every single night of the year, as long as it's not raining, they have a huge party on the pier, on Mallory Pier, for the sunset, because it is the southernmost part of the United States where the sun sets.
Mm-hmm.
So every single night they have a sunset party. So it's something that you can do and go and stay in a really incredible, gorgeous little hotel. And yet you can rent a car and get out and explore and see that area of the United States. There's just areas of, you're a California girl. I mean, there's areas of California that I absolutely love and I absolutely would recommend to clients. Coming out of the United States, if we're looking at the Caribbean. There's so many that you can't go wrong. But one thing I say is, you also want to look at your travel time. If your honeymoon is 4 nights and that's all you can take, you don't want to go all the way down to, say, like Barbados or whatever with connections and have 2 full days of travel, and then you only have 2 days. So that's a big criteria. But I love anywhere I'm a Caribbean girl. I love anywhere in the Caribbean. I love the Cayman Islands. Barbados is such a fun island to explore. There's so much to do there. There's so much culture and heritage there, and some amazing, amazing, amazing hotels at every price point. And even if you're at that middle level price point, you're still going to be at a really, really cool hotel. Barbados is a great destination. Mexico, when we look at Mexico, there's an area in Mexico, the Mayacoba area, which there's four hotels. The Banyan Tree Mayacoba is one of them. I mean, the Mayacoba area is so cool because it's an area that they built and they put 4 luxury hotels. And then there's like a village center. So there's a beautiful church, and there's local artisans, and there's little local restaurants, and then there's bike paths all the way through. And then there's a cenote that you can go in. That's underground caves. And so that's an area of Mexico that's not what you typically would think of. And it's in the Riviera Maya area, so it's not that far from the Cancun airport. And those hotels are pretty well protected in terms of the whole thing of the water and everything else. They're high-end hotels. And so that's definitely a favorite for me. The Maldives are huge right now. And the thing about the Maldives, and when I have a honeymoon or a vacation for the Maldives, I literally have about 20 questions that I send out, because the Maldives is all about how you're going to experience. The Maldives, on each one of the islands, they're called atolls, it is one hotel. Mm-hmm. It's one hotel on every single island. And the thing is, you would think, oh my gosh, I bet the Four Seasons is probably the best hotel to stay at there. Well, not necessarily, because that night might not be the experience you want. There are a lot of local owned hotels in the Maldives. But again, how long do you have for your honeymoon? Because it's a long, long, long flight. Italy is always a favorite of mine. I particularly love the Lake Como area. The Hotel Tramezzo is absolutely beautiful, but there's a hotel in Capri called the Hotel Cesar Augustus. And if you want to watch a great little video, you got to watch this guy, the owner, talking about his hotel and how it came about. You'll go on a romantic journey just watching the hotel video. It's the Hotel Cesar. It's Caesar Augustus, Augustus. Another great area. And I love Sicily. I've been to Sicily quite a few times. Taormina is just a beautiful, beautiful area to go to. It's on the ocean. It's set way, way up high. It's just totally different from the mainland of Italy. And again, a really great experience. And then there's Hawaii. I mean, come on, you can't go wrong with Hawaii.
Yeah.
Right? You really can't.
It's a classic.
Everybody's got to do Hawaii at one point. They really, really do. Yeah. Yeah. And I recommend literally 2 islands, and that's it. If you're going for, say, like 10 days, don't do any more than 2 islands. And that's where you want to definitely, that's where you want to pre-book a lot of the experiences, because there you do lose out on, if you really want to do, go to the summit at sunrise, and those things book up fast. So those are ones that we would pre-book the activities. Yeah.
Good. These are good. Book some trips.
And then there's Bermuda. Let's not forget Bermuda.
Yeah.
Bermuda, I mean, especially from the East Coast, an hour-and-a-half flight, great hotels.
That's it?
Hour and a half from the East Coast. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
I've done it in an hour and 20.
Holy crap.
More time from my house to the airport.
To get to Waiting
than
at
it
the
does to
airport.
sit on that plane
Yeah.
and get to Bermuda. And Bermuda has the quintessential Bermuda hotels that, owned by Bermudians, and like Cambridge Beaches and the reefs. And then they've got a brand new luxury hotel. St. Regis is out down there now. The Rosewood Tucker's Point is a gorgeous luxury hotel. A lot of really different hotel experiences. I had a couple in August that did an 8-day vacation, and I put them 4 days at the west end of the island in a small cottage colony like hotel, and then they did 4 days at the Rosewood Tucker's Point to have that experience on the east end of the island. And so it was like 2 mini honeymoons in one island that's 24 square miles, I think it is.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Now, we didn't talk too much about destination weddings, but could you just, do you have any kind of top 5 or most popular that you're helping people with for their destination weddings?
So with destination weddings, it's interesting. Destination weddings right now, everything is back to the ground level. Okay, there were destinations that were well known for destination weddings. There are other ones that weren't so well. Everything is now here in terms of destination weddings. The biggest thing right now in terms of destination weddings is to consider your guests, but don't base it on your guests. Okay. Certain family members, you want to consider them if you have grandparents or whatever in terms of the travel. But the most important thing is that you make it about you and you make it about them. And when you make it about them, that's where someone like myself comes in, that if you're going to choose to do a destination wedding and you're going to choose to do everything so magnificently, and you're going to get your wedding planner and your flowers and your photographer and everything, but then you just throw the travel part up in the air and let people get their own travel. That's not being responsible in terms of having a destination wedding and then inviting guests and then just say, do it on your own, because you wouldn't ask them to do what you're not going to ask them to go and get their dinner on their own for the day of the wedding or whatever.
Yeah.
And so in terms of choosing a destination for a destination wedding, it's pretty much like what I was talking about choosing the honeymoon, right? So, first of all, where do you want something that's sort of like going to England and being in a castle and having an experience that's very cultural like that? Mm-hmm. Do you want it to be a total beach experience where all you're doing is hanging out with your family and friends and just having a really good time? That's the first thing you've got to consider. Second thing you have to consider is, where is everybody traveling from? And how is it easiest for everyone to sort of centralized? If most of all your guests are all on the East Coast, Bermuda, Caribbean, no problem. If most of your guests on the West Coast, not necessarily going to look at Bermuda as a destination because of the flight time, because typically on a destination wedding, your guests are going to travel 3 days is the norm. They're going to maybe add on, but they're really going to take 3 days to travel. And so you want to look at that. You want to look at, how does this destination really handle destination weddings? Have they been in the market for a good amount of time? Are they focused on, having the best vendors down there? Read reviews and stuff and see how this destination is for destination weddings. And then look at also what they have for culture and heritage. Do you want to incorporate something like that into your wedding? Because if you do, then you might choose someplace like Barbados over the Cayman Islands, because the Cayman Islands pretty much is, British. It's like Bermuda. You're going to get some heritage, but you're going to get a lot more, right? In Barbados, you're gonna be able to really get into that culture and heritage more in an island like that. So it's also, what type of experience do you want to have in terms of that? And then it all comes down to the whole travel part of it as well. What there is for hotels, having someone, a professional that knows how to work those those hotel contracts and those airline contracts so that you're getting the best that you possibly can. Hotels will, do a contract for you with room nights and make you commit to a certain number of room nights. And then it's not unusual for them to take the weekend of your wedding and throw a sale out and have those rates lower than what your group rates are.
Yeah.
And then you have your guests going online and they're
booking outside of the block, and you've got an attrition.
Yep, exactly. So someone that is going, and I had this happen recently with an event that I'm doing, and the fact that, the hotel threw a sale, and not only were the rates lower, but the cancellation policy was much more lenient. And if I hadn't done diligence and gone on and kept checking it, I never would have seen it. And it would have been a disaster for the group that signed the contract, because they would have been responsible for it and everybody else would have booked outside of the, and sometimes hotels are like, whatever. I hold them accountable. I make sure that when the contract is written, that they close out those dates, and that they're not able to throw a sale during the dates of the wedding group block. Managing that block, having someone manage it, getting information out to your guests. I create a page on my website that has all of the travel information. Look, like we talked before, some people just haven't traveled, and particularly now they haven't traveled in a while. So they need to know, is it a destination where your passport needs to be valid for 6 months beyond the date of travel? Like the Cayman Islands is many destinations that do that, because they don't want you coming in with a passport that could expire, say, in a week, and then something happens to you and then you're stuck in their country with an expired passport, right? So there's the cancellation of the passport. There's knowing you have a passport. There's prompting people constantly to check and make sure that they take the passports out of the safe and that they are valid, because they haven't traveled in like 3 years.
Yeah, right now, especially people, you go look at your passport. When does it expire?
Yes. Travel insurance, huge thing. Travel insurance, making sure that you have travel insurance. God knows, especially if you have kids at home or whatever, you don't know what's going to end up happening, day before you could end up, and then you lose everything. If you have travel insurance, it covers you. You take car insurance, you take homeowners insurance, you take health insurance. Guess what? Travel insurance is just as important and literally a lot cheaper. So,
are you talking about the travel insurance that when you're buying your ticket online, it says, do you want to insure this ticket for blah, 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 blah? Or are you talking about like a third party company?
So I'm talking about third party company only because I insure the whole trip. Okay. For instance, and I'll tell you in a moment, if you're only booking a flight, you're going to, visit your girlfriend in Chicago for the weekend and you're only booking a flight. Take that travel insurance. It's on the airline website, because that's good. It's Allianz. Most of them use Allianz, which is a great insurance company. It's going to cover you for any cancellations and anything, but it's not, it's just a travel protection plan. It's not necessarily covers you for everything else. If you have more than that, then what you do is it's a third party, and usually it's vetted by the travel professional to make sure it's the best one possible. I recently changed over the travel insurance companies that I use, because the one that I used to use didn't cover you for a per day per diem if you got quarantined in a destination. It didn't cover you. The one I have now covers you. You can take from a $300, $400, $500 increment per day. God forbid you get stuck in the destination, and you have to cover you. But also, if you're traveling, I do all the travel for the David Tutera experience and our attendees. I take care of all their travel. Now, the attendees pay for their tuition to go to the event. They pay for their flights and they pay for their hotel. And all of it is typically non-refundable. The tuition is non-refundable. The airlines are going to be non-refundable. And at some point during that process, the hotel then goes into a penalty period. That's all covered. You cover all of that, even the event under the travel insurance. And God forbid, a week before you get sick, you just put in a claim with the travel insurance company. And as long as it's for a covered reason, then you're not out all of that money. It's a very, very important part of travel, particularly today in today's climate.
Do you recommend any travel insurance companies in particular that we can put links to the show notes on?
Yeah, I can send you the one. There's one that I use in particular. It does go through. You a lot of times you do want. I'm just looking at the exact name of the one that I use because it's so new. So I use one called Trawick, TRAWICK, Trawick International. One important thing of working with a travel agent is that Trawick International, I think it offers maybe 8 different plans.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's knowing also which plan is the best one to take for the travel experience that you have, right? If you are traveling within the United States, you don't have to pay the extra money to have that one that adds on the quarantine coverage, because you don't need it. You're not going to be quarantined somewhere if you're traveling within the United States, at least right now. That's not something, but if you're going out of the United States and you have to test back in, then you want to have that quarantine insurance. So, again, that's part of working with a travel professional and having them guide you on what's the best one to take.
Awesome. So good. This is really great information for everybody. Thank you for all of it.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been fun. Thank you.
It's been fun.
And I have no problem talking about what I do and this industry and being a travel professional and really giving advice. I have to tell you, it's like sometimes I have to shut my ears when I'm like anywhere, because if I hear someone talking, particularly on a plane, and it's like all of a sudden I'm like, I got rubber neck. And I'm like, oh, is this your first time going to, oh, is it your first time going to Bermuda? Oh, let me give you, wait a minute, and they're like writing everything down.
Yeah.
Literally giving me.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Where to go, restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Really quickly, any packing tips or favorite packing, I don't know, supplies or anything that off the top of your head?
Oh my gosh. So you're talking to someone who literally packs like 3 outfits a day and, whatever. So, which
How do you fit it all?
Well, I have to tell you what's really, really funny is recently when I have traveled to Jamaica twice and had to connect coming home, I've done carry-on. It really gave me a better thought process in terms of how I pack. So that's one thing that we didn't talk about, and that is, which talks about, packing and luggage and everything else, is if you're going out of the country and you're coming back in on a connecting flight, you're going to pass through immigration's customs and back through security on your connection. So your connection needs to be at least 2 hours, if not more. And then you also have to understand that you have to pull your luggage at that point. And so you don't want to be so overwhelmed with luggage that it becomes a big strement, because, right, you got to go to the airport and check it anyways, and then you got to take it out and recheck it. But in terms of packing, I mean, I am definitely a mix and match kind of gal, and I've tried to be more so in terms of that. I have tried to be more aware of pulling stuff out when I take too much and I have too much that I'm carrying.
Yeah.
One thing I do most particularly is I have my empty suitcase, and then literally as I wear the clothes, knowing I'm not going to wear them again, I have the empty suitcase sort of on one of the luggage stands. I'm literally repacking it day by day. So
when you're there, when you're getting ready to go back. Yeah.
Right. So when I'm at my destination, I literally, instead of just like putting it back in the closet or hanging it back up, if I know I'm not going to wear it again, it's so that the day I'm leaving, I don't have a huge strement in terms of packing everything, because that can always be crazy. Leaving some room. Oh my God, your clothes just, they grow, don't they?
I know.
Literally, they get, you've worn them, and so they get heavier and thicker and what have you. I'm a huge proponent of the away luggage. I've just started using that, and I love the way it's got the compression thing to pack it down. I can't believe how much I was able to take on one of their carry-ons.
Away luggage. Oh God, Linda, why are you telling me this now?
Yeah, I mean, investing, I can't tell you how many suitcases I've gone through by just buying suitcases at TJ Maxx or Marshalls.
I know.
And then out after another year, my husband's like, "You're buying another suitcase?" And I'm like, literally, it's done. So, invest in especially for honeymoon couples, ask for good luggage for a wedding gift.
What a great idea.
And buy good luggage, buy something like the away. It's great luggage, but it's got this compression thing. Buy a luggage scale. Have that luggage scale, number one, when you're home, and make sure that when you lift it, that it's at least 1 pound less. Don't let it be like just hovering at 50 and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm good," because the scales at the airport are going to be totally different. And take it with you, so when you repack your suitcase, that you're also not over on your luggage. The last thing you want to do is get to the airport and have to get changing stuff over. If you have someone you're traveling with, my husband never packs his suitcase full, ever. So I always know when I'm coming home that I can shove some stuff.
I know. My husband went to England a couple days ago ahead of me, and I threw like my boots and my flat iron and my curling iron and my brush, all in and my heavy wool coat. I put it all in his suitcase.
Yeah. And I've got a small rolling carry-on, because I always put in my rolling carry-on those things. That pair of shoes, that's my most comfortable pair of shoes. Whatever I don't like, when I get to the destination, what are the things that would make me the craziest to not have
right away?
And right away. And it's my makeup is one thing for me personally.
Oh, good point. And the carry-on. Yeah.
It's those couple of pairs of comfortable shoes. It's that one outfit that I may want to change into when I get there, because I don't want to have to go through my luggage. Maybe it's at the bellman. I haven't checked. If you're going to a warm destination, be able to just pull something out, to grab a carry-on, go into the bathroom and just change or whatever. But put those few things in that carry-on that you say to yourself, "Oh God, I would die if I lost this comfortable pair of sneakers, or this really cool pair of heels that I want to wear with, if I'm going to any of the David Chatera experiences, my gala dresses and my gala shoes are always in my carry-on. You have to think, what if, and then you put that in a carry-on and just do a wheel luggage. That's all. And then you got someplace to put your pocketbook, because you're wheeling it instead of carrying.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Okay. You've given me tips already that I'm going to use, like literally. I'm going to put my makeup in my carry-on. I'm going to do it.
100%.
And my UGG boots, because
yeah,
I might even put them on in the plane. You know what I mean? Like change to them.
When you're changing climates, absolutely have a change of, when we left, not so much in June, but when we leave to go on our vacation from here to, say, like when we go to Cayman, it'd be here, maybe it's 10 degrees out when we're leaving at 5:00 in the morning, and I get to Cayman and it's 85 degrees. Do you think I want to have the leggings and they have the sweater and everything on?
No. Change in the bathroom at the airport.
Yeah. Or layers or whatever that you can just pull on and, get rid of the heavy.
Yeah. Your puffy jacket. Yeah, totally. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish you could just come help me pack.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Okay.
I need to be a packing specialist as well.
Well, I am so happy that I met you through the
Oh,
David Totero experience, and I look
so
forward to keeping in touch with you. And I'm really thankful that you came on to
thank
talk to our audience and just bring your expertise. You are literally an expert in your
I'm glad
industry.
that I dangled that
Me
pink
too.
Jamaica hat in front of you and
Yeah.
was like, you can have this pink hat if you invite me onto your podcast. I've never been, listen, I'm 69 years old. I'm not shy anymore. I was a shy kid. Okay. I'm not
Yes.
shy anymore. I just come out and say it. Listen, what's the worst that can happen? If you're kind to people and you're friendly and, you just say something off the cuff, they're either going to realize that you're a kind, friendly person and you're just saying it to be funny, or they're not. And
Yeah.
so be it, because
Yeah.
what they think is none of my business anyway. So,
There you go. There you go.
yeah. Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll let you know how the trip goes if I get there.
Listen, if any of your listeners have any questions whatsoever, feel free to email me. I'm Linda at luxurydestinationtravel.com.
Mm-hmm.
On Instagram, I'm at Luxury Destination Travel. I love to post anything from my grandkids to my travels on there. You'll see anything crazy. And my website, there's lots of good information on my website. So
Yeah.
luxurydestinationtravel.com. Yeah.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy holidays to you and everyone.
You too.
Okay.